Guys, you've heard the term MMA math. MMA math is like a colloquial term for saying this guy beat this guy, but this guy beat this guy, and therefore this guy can beat this guy, even if they don't fight. Common opponents, right? Common opponents is what MMA math is. And you're right, it doesn't work. Styles make fights, and we'll see all the time where A can beat B and B can beat C, but A cannot beat C. It's one of those things. MMA math also happens with promoters. And that math is a little bit more important to get right. Take the heavyweight division, by example, and I'll tell you what stems this conversation. I just saw some training footage. Jon Jones in his garage hitting some focus mitts. I didn't see the speed that all the coaches are talking about, but I am seeing a very clear power. But I was thinking about that, and I'm going, look, I'm pretty sure I got this figured out. And I didn't have to put on my Colombo rain jacket. I think that it's pretty clear in front of us. Francis's next 3 fights are going to be Derek Lewis, Jon Jones, and Stipe Miocic. I just don't know the order. Whoever Francis is fighting, whenever he's not fighting him, the rest of the guys are then going to get together. But those 4 guys are so far and away the top of the pack. I just think, absent of one of them retiring, all of them keeping a normal schedule, I think that we all see them fighting. But the order matters, and this is where the promoters got to sit down and look at it. Look, Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou, big fight right now. That changes daily. That comes off the board completely if Derek Lewis gets over on Ngannou. Derek Lewis versus Jon Jones, for example, same thing, right? Jon Jones, first time at heavyweight. Jon Jones walking into a world title fight. It's not the same thing, and you guys can feel that. It's not the same thing. Stipe rematching with Ngannou, big fight. Stipe versus Jon Jones, much bigger. And Stipe versus Derek Lewis in some ways, right? I would ask you, I can't come out and tell you definitively Stipe versus Derek is bigger than Stipe versus Ngannou, but I might have got your attention. I might have got your attention, which helps to prove my point. That if you are the promoter and if you are Dana, you are always factoring these things in. And that's one thing that gets left out by the media when they ask Dana questions. What's going to happen and who's next? Dana is doing other calculations. Dana's doing other formulas in his mind of their other sequences for what could happen. And the general rule in promoting, I see a lot of guys get away from it. Dana does not. Put on the biggest fight you can when you can. It's one of those things. Fighters need to follow that same rule, and they never do. Win the fight you can win when you can win them. Don't think about, oh, I'm going to get this one and then this one, and then I'll be ready for this. Just go get it. We're seeing Proklovich going through that now. Proklovich is coming out, and he's talking about that he's going to be ready for the winner of Blachowicz and Glover, but he doesn't feel that he's ready yet. And it's one of those things where, hey, Proklovich, if this opportunity is here, go take this opportunity. You can win the fight you can win when you can win it. More importantly, take the fight that you can get when you can get it. It's one of these things you always have to work through. And as I do look at the heavyweights, I got to tell you, I did not see the speed with Jon. In all fairness, I didn't really see the speed. And focus mitts is a great place to see the speed. There's not a whole lot of things going on the focus mitts. Coach holds something up and you hit it. So having that speed and that power, particularly when nothing's in your way, it's just one of those things you're going to do very quick. Jon's not slow. This is not a put Jon down session. I just didn't see the speed. And that's one of the things that you're really looking for when you're watching somebody on a mitt workout, because there's not a whole lot else that exercise is designed to do. Could also see that he was a big guy. People are saying that he's 240. Maybe. He may be. He could use, Dolce's got a book out there. It's called 21 Days to 3 weeks to Shred It. 3 weeks to shred. And Jon needs to do that. He's gotten a little bit loose. A little bit of cardio will come in, but some of that weight's going to come off. Look, when you get the fat off the bone, and Jon's got some fat, some looseness on the bone right now, what does he weigh? I'm guessing probably 233, 232. And I hope that doesn't disappoint Jon. I know somewhere within Jon's psyche, he decided he needed to get big. As a matter of fact, he needs to get to 240. Listen, Jon is big. He walks around at 225. 225 is big. So if he wants to get bigger, well, 233 is bigger. And I don't want Jon to get diminished. I don't want that to bother him when he gets some of this extra fat off his body. when he leans down. Same thing that happened to Stipe, except it wasn't fat, but Stipe just overtrained. That's what he said. Came out and talked about the fact that he weighed 230 pounds was absolutely on accident. He ate as much as he could. He stuck to the diet. His wife was feeding him. He said, but I just worked so hard that I worked it off. I mean, it's one of those things where there's a real balance. And one thing that we'll never have to accuse or worry about Jon Jones doing is overtraining, right? It's just one of those things. But I know how he looks is important to him. And I get that, right? I get it. How I look, it matters to me too. I know I'm going to take my shirt off. I know when I'm going to a weigh-in. It's one of those things. I'm not a guy that you're ever going to catch at a tanning bed. Well, that might not be true a couple days before a weigh-in, right? I mean, there's a certain thing there where everybody's got a level of pride in themselves. That's okay. I had a great time with Jon one time. He came out to Oregon. He was going to do a submission underground take on Dan Henderson. We had a weigh-in, but the weigh-ins for submission underground are purely for marketing in the regard that you can't miss weight. Every match is an open weight. If you're 125 pounds, you're still open weight contractually. If you're 325 pounds, it's still open weight, right? You get my point. Well, when we came out, and because you can't miss weight, because it's just a face-off, it's a photo op. I was telling Jon, weigh in with what you'd like. Take your shoes off. Referee doesn't like when you get on the scale with shoes on, but then just get on. And Jon said, wow, you got to be kidding me. He said, I got in great shape for that. I'm planning to take my shirt off. He said, I'm stripping down. I don't care if anybody else does or not. I am taking my shirt off. And he was serious. And I fully respected it. And he did it. And he looked great at it. But he was flexing to the crowd, right? When I tell you it's a photo op just for the promotion, photo op for him too. I bring that to you because I got real focused on putting some weight on. The video that I saw was a lot bigger. My eyeballs didn't tell me 240. But he says he's 240. That's why I'm coming up with that number. But I could also see that he focused on getting, it's very hard when you're getting big. Even if you deal with a bodybuilder, okay, you'll go through phases. And if you're in a bulking phase, that means you're just putting on any kind of weight you can to get big. Then you go through your shred phase. Now, the reason that they do that, it's nearly impossible. I mean, I want to use the words, it's impossible. But if Derek breaks down my video, then Derek's going to come back and tell me that Chael's wrong, and Derek's pretty good at this stuff, so I got to tell you, it's hard to just put on muscle. Now, you can gain muscle, but you're going to gain fat as well, which is why you go through the next step, which is to then remove the fat. That will be Jon's next phase. However, that's going to bring him down to that 230, 231, 233, Stipe Miocic, right? It's the same thing's going to happen to him. With Stipe, it didn't affect him mentally at all. He didn't give a damn what he weighed. With Jon, I think it might. But I don't know that I want it to. I think Jon competes with these big boys a little bit better than Jon knows. I really mean that. I've talked to a number of his training partners that were heavyweights, names, big names that you guys would know. I'm going to keep their names out of it, but big names that you would know. They could only praise how well Jon did in sparring with them. And this is when he was a 205-pounder. My most recent conversation that I just alluded to right now is 4.5 years ago. 4.5 years ago. None of those heavyweights, names of which I could name, some of which have held gold before, none of them thought he was too small. They thought he was too damn fast. They thought he was too damn creative. They thought he was too damn elusive. Only compliments. It's one of those things, when you go messing with your physiology, it's one of those things. It really needs worked out. It really needs ironed out. It really needs sparred out. It really needs practiced out. It really needs competition to get used to get that out. I'm a wrestling coach. First 2 weeks of practice every year, but I work with the kids. First 2 weeks of practice, it's like starting over. And I've got champions in the room. I've got All-Americans in the room. I have a world champion in the room. The first 2 weeks, it's like they'd never done it before. And you want to know why? The relevance to them being kids? When we take the summer break, kids grow. They put on 10 or 12, 15 pounds. They go up 2.5, 3 inches. And if your body changes, you have to start from the beginning. All of your timing is off. All of your balance is off. Now, those are kids, and Jon is a world champion. I'm just bringing to you, I think that Jon is going to surprise himself when he gets fight time, and he's only about that 231, 232. But I think he's going to like the surprise. I really do. I think a 240 Jon Jones, get that off. Get this suit that you're wearing around off. Trim that back down. but don't be psychologically affected by the scale. 230 is a big man. It's a big man. It's not as big as Francis. It's not as big as Derek, but it's a big man.